All right, so we are doing backsplash today. There are thousands of videos on YouTube on how to do backsplashes. So I'm not gonna really get into how to do a backsplash, but maybe just do some kind of tips and tricks and things that I found while doing mine. So I have a backsplash here, and I already did this one over here. I'm gonna go on a 45-degree angle, right? Oh. So this is kind of my layout. All right, you can see it's over here. You can see that's kind of done. Now, one thing that I ran into is that my tiles, even though they're all in the same box, they're slightly different. Like they're off by like a 1/16 of an inch bigger or smaller. Very frustrating. So I decided to just go with it and put them up there, but my lines aren't lining up perfectly. And this is driving me a little nuts. Like, for example, this one's really bad. It's just that this tile is bigger than this tile and this tile. So when you put it on there, it's just, you know, so it kind of is what it is. But that's one thing I would probably suggest is right off the bat, make sure if you buy tiles, make sure they're the same size. It sounds crazy. They're in the same box, but they're you know, they're not the right size. But I'm just gonna go with it. It is what it is. Making little adjustments everywhere. Some people might talk about different adhesive and things like that on a backsplash. Now backsplash is really just cosmetic. So you can use whatever adhesive you really want, unless it's a glass tile, because glass tile, you're gonna see that you could see the adhesive through the tile. But what I would do is get the cheapest adhesive that they make. So I'm just using some adhesive that I had from an old project that's left over. You really don't have to worry about waterproofiness or structure or anything like that. So literally you could just glue these to the wall using construction adhesive. So what I would do is I was doing a backsplash, get the cheapest adhesive that you can find. Now, when it comes to spacers, there are thousands of different types of spacers. The guys at the tile shop try to sell me this one that they put the big wheel on. You know, you basically just put this behind the tile, right? And then you put these wedges on, okay? So, like that, and basically that kind of holds it together. I'll tell you, I'm not a big fan of this system. I got this from Home Depot. I'm not buying it. I would have probably just have rather gone with the old style. I have tons of different types of spacers. I think really these, for this type of installation, for a backsplash, is plenty. Now for a floor and stuff like that, you want that to be perfect and nice and level. You know, you really want to do something, a system like this. But for a backsplash, I think this is really just overkill. It just adds a lot of extra time and it's really not worth it. I would just go with simple spacers. To cut tile, you know, we could go with the old style. This is like the original tile cutter with the wheel. This one worked really well for me, but then I think the wheel got dull and it just started cracking the tiles apart. So that's why we're using this Ryobi out there. And I have nothing bad to say about this Ryobi saw. It's been working very well. We'll take a little bit closer look at it right now. All right, I would recommend not doing tile in 31-degree weather, but that's what I've been doing for the last few days. And I've used this saw a lot. I really don't have anything negative to say about it. My worst or my biggest complaint is honestly this on and off switch. It's so like in such a weird spot. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. It's a really weird thing to complain about, but for some reason I feel like it should be like over here. I don't know. It's just really hard to get to. Every time you have to kind of bend down and look. But other than that, it's pretty neat. One thing I didn't realize it had was these little legs in here. So these little legs here, you set it up like this. And not that I would ever do this, honestly, but this allows you then to cut like a 45-degree angle or 22 and a half and 22 and a half and then, you know, make a 45-degree angle. So that's pretty cool. You know, the water basin here is completely fine. You know, it has your tools. It's got plenty of space to store all this stuff, which I really like. So you can take this off, take this all off, and you can store it inside. Definitely recommend this thing for the price. And the other reviews I've seen have actually all been pretty positive. So now when you're doing a backsplash, you need to come up with a way, you know, to end it. So you probably want to get something like this. You get it right from the tile shop. And what this will do, this will go here. And then the tiles will run up to that, and that'll be basically how it ends, okay? Whenever you do tiles, well, I'd recommend you have, or just water, and have your adhesive close by. Get some old rags and things like that. This is what I like to do when I'm doing backsplash. I get all of the adhesive on the wall, whatever you're using. When you use your trowel to put your lines in them, I forget what they're called now, for some reason. I just do the row that I'm gonna install the tile on. So I'll leave all this up there and I'm just gonna do the first row. So I'll do the first, the first line, right? Install up to that point, leave this like this, because this could stay like this probably for 45 minutes and be completely fine. And what this does is just basically gets all the stuff on the wall. Then you kind of get rid of the bucket, get all that stuff out of the way, and now you're just installing tiles. And when you go to do the next row, you just screed the next row up and move your way up. I also recommend not making a YouTube video while you're trying to do backsplash, because that'll also make it go a lot faster as well. All right, so now we're getting up to the top here, some interesting tiles. So I'm gonna show you how maybe you would cut something like this. So if I'm putting the tile this way because it's just easier to clean. All right, we're gonna set it in there. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure down from the top to this point right here. So and these should all be around 6.5 inches, so 6.5. I can write 6.5. And we're gonna go down and measure all these and cut them. All right, so we gotta cut this, right? Little awkward to cut this because you have to cut straight across, and your measurement is from this corner. All right, so you have to square this up. So the first thing we're gonna do is we are going to measure down, so 6.5 inches, and we're gonna make a mark. So 6.5. All right, and now we need to basically draw a straight line across. There's I guess a few different ways you could do this. This is the way I found. Grab yourself a square like this, all right? And then you'll find, and I haven't done this. No, it's this way. So then what you do is you bring your square to that line, like so. And that's your line. So I'm gonna go to the tile saw and I'm gonna cut to this line. I'm actually gonna cut this side off. Be very careful, right? I don't wanna cut on this side of the line. So cut on this side of the line, I'm gonna have the blade, the blade width actually taken off here. This will probably be too short, okay? So I wanna make sure when I cut, I'm gonna keep this line, I'm gonna cut on this side. And you don't wanna use like pencil, you probably wanna use something like this, like a Sharpie, because with the tile saw, if you use a pencil, as the water's running, it'll actually wash away the mark when you're cutting. So you get a Sharpie, or they actually make wax pencils, for tile, which is okay as well. I just find them to be super fat. So I like to use this like very fine, tipped Sharpie for whenever I am doing tile. And I always use a very highlighter-ish color. So this is orange, just so you can see it, obviously. And see what other tips we can come up with and share. Sharon's caring. If you have any tips, leave them down below in the comments. So here's another one. When you're starting, if you're doing a diagonal like this, you have to cut these perfectly in half. It's a little more difficult because you're cutting it, you're not cutting off of it like a 90-degree angle. So the easiest way I found is to put it on your square, put the tile down on the ground like that, down there, and then this is your line. You just draw a line here. And then draw my line, and make it real tight in there, like very pushed. And you can see it's perfect, like right there and right there. To make sure that this doesn't snap at the end, sometimes that happens. So let's say you're cutting from here. When you get right to the end, like this will snap. And since we want to use both sides of this, that would be problematic, especially. So what I do is I do a little pre-cut here. I'll cut in like 1/4 of an inch. Then I'll turn it around and then I'll finish my cut. Got done using it and we're gonna pack this up, I don't do tile that often, right? I'm definitely DIYer tile. But the nice thing about this, what I noticed is you can really pack everything away. So I'm gonna start with taking off the guard here. So you just need a Phillips head screwdriver and there's 3 screws here. You don't have to take them all the way out, I don't think, yeah. And basically they slide in. And this can all be put into this like water channel here. And you can store the blade along with the wrenches that it comes with all inside here, along with this. And I'm gonna keep the instructions. There's no reason to throw them away since they do work. And I'm gonna put the bolt on the shaft here, okay? One thing I'm gonna do is I am gonna spray everything down and kind of just give it a little cleaning with some WD-40. Just to keep it, you know, clean and get a little bit of protection on the metal. That'll keep it from like rusting up. And in long-term storage, this will be nice. It's nice that everything stores inside, because like I said, you know, you don't use this that often. And if you had all this stuff and you had to like kind of keep it all like together, it'd be kind of annoying, you know? Like you'd lose the blade or maybe the instructions. So it's just nice that they thought about that. So I'm not gonna get crazy. Then we just put the door right back on. Like that, all right? Looking good. This is like for some reason I'm forgetting the name of this. The guard, the gate, I think it's called a gate. The gate that, you know, if you're gonna cut a tile a certain size that goes. I'm wondering if this fits. Nah, so I think when you store this, you're gonna have to store this on top somewhere. All right, so I'm just gonna put it to the side. No big deal, lock it down. You know, it's a nice, neat little package. I do like that part of it. And I installed a ton of Backsplash and this did fine. So I don't have anything bad to say about it, really. I think it worked great. People might say like, oh, it chips and stuff like that. Well, I think that's more so of the tile and the blade that you use. I'm not sure that has really anything to do with the saw. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe there's an RPM, an increased RPMs or something like that, that would keep it from chipping. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. But ultimately, I do recommend this for like a DIYer, someone like me, that you're gonna do tile every once in a while, maybe every couple years. Give this thing an A+. So that's it. I hope this video helped you. If it did, please like, please subscribe, please leave me a comment. I'm Mike, Family DIY TV, and I'm Tile out.